Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of One Piece Podcast. Today, we are talking about Whole Cake Island. It's been a while. Um, this arc is the hunt for Sanji. This is Luffy and like we mentioned last time, it's the group that doesn't go with him in Dressrosa. It's the opposite group from Dressrosa, but Luffy included, and they're all looking for Sanji on Whole Cake Island, and Sanji's gonna get married to Big Mom's family, so that was interesting. I thought the arc itself was pretty great. I thought it was had a lot of likable characters and a lot of interesting situations. It gave me a good idea of how strong these emperors are because Big Mom was fucking terrifying the entire time, and like if she's that terrifying, then I'm like pretty worried going forward about the other one because they're trying to kill uh, the other animal guy, um,
Kaido.
Kaido. So I'm scared about how strong he is going to be. But yeah, lots of cool situations, interesting characters that we get to see with Big Mom's crew, especially. I think my biggest drawback is it didn't really have the emotional core that I like to see in a long One Piece arc and like a pretty story heavy One Piece arc. It did have some semi-emotional moments, but nothing too impactful, I'd say. Um, what do you guys think of this arc?
Um, a lot of people have the opinion, myself included partially, that like One Piece has kind of been on like a little bit of like a slump since the time skip. Um, I wasn't like a huge fan. I mean, I like Fishman Island a little bit. I think there's like good stuff there. I wasn't like a huge fan of like Dressrosa, but let me tell you, with this arc, the slump is over because I fucking love this arc. I think there's like this definitely has. I mean, I think that this arc really shows like what post time skip One Piece like can be. Because this is not like an arc where it could have happened before the time skip. There's like a lot of like moving pieces and stuff that can only really exist in like a post time skip world where all of this stuff has been established, and like we're kind of like dealing with the world stage at this point. And yeah, there's just like a lot of like I don't know, but it still had the same kind of feel as like old One Piece chapters. Like there's just so much like heart, and there's so many great instances of just like some classic Oda isms in
Yeah.
this, that I guess we can get into as we get more specific. But my overall thoughts on this arc are very, very positive.
I would agree since Fishman Island to this point, this is definitely the best arc in the New World. And we're here, we're infiltrating an emperor's home island, and that's exciting in and of itself. But yeah, on top of that, we've got some really antagonizing characters and Big Mom and Katakuri and the whole Big Mom crew. They're no force to be uh, taken lightly. Um, and yeah, we get some great fights. I will agree with Will, the emotional aspect of it all is a bit lacking, but you know we get Sanji's flashback. All the flashbacks, in my opinion, are good. They always pull at the heartstrings,
Yep.
but um, yeah, as far as anything beyond that that's keeping you emotionally attached, there's not a whole lot. Uh,
I think
yeah, I mean, even with the Germa double six, like, okay, I liked the flashback, but current Germa double six, I didn't really care for.
yeah. I I definitely would agree that the flashbacks probably are the biggest emotional moments, like getting to like seeing Sanji as a young kid and like you kind of get reminded about like him on Baratier, like that was a good reminder, like him how much he like owes it to I'm forgetting the name of the captain of Baratier, but like how much he owes him,
Zeph.
yeah, Zeph, and like how much he owes him for like kind of basically raising him because like his actual family just tosses him aside. He's not as special as his brothers and sisters, so like that kind of adds weight to the previous arc, and I feel like if I had gone back and read Baratier, like that would be a more impactful arc now that I've read this arc, which is always a good thing. Um, and then yeah, I think the other big emotional moment would be like Luffy. I mean, it's kind of like in the middle of the arc with Luffy like saying like I am only gonna eat Sanji's cooking and I will literally eat nothing else, and like he tries to get Sanji and Sanji has to like fight him to show like yeah, I moved on, but like deep down you know Sanji's not moving on, and you know Luffy's gonna be stubborn about it, and like that's probably the biggest emotional moment, but even that's like not crazy.
Well, here and that's what the arc is, though. Like we're here to get Sanji
Yeah,
back and get
exactly.
out of
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
It wasn't meant to be this let's resolve conflict within an island type of arc. The whole arc was based on create as much chaos as possible,
yeah.
and I think it did a good job in that.
Yeah, and I had mentioned previously when we were discussing the last arc that I had the hunch that they weren't going to fight Big Mom straight up, and it relatively came true. They did take a shot at the Queen or the Empress, as it were, and that didn't go so well. And it seems like they are still pretty far from being able to take her down 1v1 or as a crew even. Um, so yeah, they didn't end up 1v or fighting her directly, but the way they get around that direct lack of conflict with her, with Luffy and his Katakuri fight, and then they have Sanji and Charlotte Pudding and what's the other Charlotte daughter's name that looks like
Chiffon.
yeah, Chiffon. Those three are all they have like their little cake arc, and then you've got Bege. I liked Bege a lot in this arc. I thought he kind of shot up to my one of my favorites of the worst generation or the terrible generation.
Hmm.
Like he got a lot of interesting stuff in this arc, and like we get a little bit of backstory with him. Like he was a mob boss, and like he basically did everything he wanted to do on land, and like now he's trying to sea because pirate crews are basically mafias of the sea or something. I can't remember what they said exactly, but I really like his backstory and the fact that like he's out for himself, and but at the same time he's not shying away from making these alliances when he needs to, and he's got the balls to take a shot in that Big Mom's life. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I love his power. His power is so unique,
Yeah.
and I think every single time he shows up and uses it, I love it. You get to see him use his like he like turns into a boat, which is super cool. He turns into like a tank almost. Yeah, just awesome.
A castle.
Yeah, the castle, super cool. He's got like his son that looks it's just like his face on a baby. Super funny.
And
Um,
the son is smoking a cigar.
yeah. Yep. Um, definitely he was definitely a highlight of the arc for sure. On the Straw Hat team, the Alliance.
Yeah. I I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but like uh Beige was probably the member of like the worst generation. Um Maybe him or the monk guy, Arouge, were probably the ones that I was like the least interested in. Um just because they seemed kind of like more straightforward, I guess. But like I think that I totally agree. Like Beige, like this arc became like an actual like character with like a lot going on. Like I love his like I mean I love when he's like talking to his baby and stuff and he's like using his
Yeah.
little baby voice. And there are like a couple times where he like is talking to his baby and then like someone else says something to him and then he'll like start to respond in his baby voice and he'll like catch himself and stop. Also I just love how like he's characterized as like being kind of like a father to like all of his crewmates,
Yeah.
almost like kind of like a light version of Whitebeard, kind of.
Hmm.
Um, I think that and I also I did mention this last time because this is what I was thinking as I was reading it is that like him kind of like being on the Big Mom pirate crew made him kind of like less intimidating in his own right because he's like he's basically saying, I am not going to like attempt to surpass the Yonko. I'm just going to like, be subservient to them. And that's like the best way I can make it. But I like how this arc kind of like reestablishes Beach as like a threat of his own because he's actually doing this whole thing to take down Big Mom. And I love how he's like a schemer and like he's like, oh, this is all part of the plan.
Hmm.
It's yeah, really good stuff with
He's
Beach. So yeah,
extremely
he shot up as
tactical.
well.
Yeah, very tactical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then also, like I mentioned Arouge, and like they actually mentioned Arouge in this arc too, but they say that like he came to Whole Cake Island and like he beat up one of the previous there were four Sweet Commanders, now there's only three. Um, and he beat up one of them, the old one, Snack, and then so like he's like a real threat too. And that like got me really interested in like, oh, like why was he trying to like attack um Big Mom and stuff. Like this is the shit that I love about One Piece is that there's like so much like going on in the world at one point. At any point in the story, there's like a lot going on, just with these like little hints that they give you of like what the other characters are up to right now.
Yep.
So I like that was like literally like maybe two panels, but it like I don't know, it just like it really that's like the juicy shit that I love.
Hmm.
Just like all the world building and stuff like that.
Yeah, I also just love like back to Beige, like he's just he's got like such a wholesome relationship with Chiffon and his kid, and like that's something that's an interesting side of him because up until now, like
Hmm.
you see him like in during the Zoe arc, like he's pretty ruthless it seems, and then definitely get a nice different side of him, and then um, I don't know, I just loved you were talking earlier about like Oda isms, and I don't know, I love the overall this arc was relatively it wasn't like a super serious arc most of the time,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
I think
even
that's
though they're like fighting like one of like the biggest threat that they've ever faced,
yeah.
it's still very lighthearted.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and like
I think the
that's
setting
classic
really
One Piece.
the setting really lends itself to that because it's really hard to have a super serious arc when you're on an island made of candy. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I love the kind of wacky shenanigans that go on. Like you've got the mirror guy that they or the mirror lady that they use the entire time. Like has like
Yeah,
a very
yeah, Brule. Yeah.
interesting, unique way of getting around the island that like
Uh-huh.
it makes sense, but it's also a very silly way, and like you can do a lot of visual gags with that type of thing, um, and it just kind of lends itself to the campiness almost of it, but also
Hmm.
you've got like more serious moments where like they're in that mirror place, but it's like Luffy and Katakuri like fighting to the death, and it's like an extremely
Yeah.
like high stakes match, so
Yeah.
very very cool setting for the entire arc.
Oh yeah. I think that this easily the best setting that we've had in a while. I love how like I love how like it all like comes back to Big Mom, Like everything about the setting is like a piece of characterization for Big Mom because like, it's there's candy and food all over the place because she loves food and stuff. And like the I love how like everything is like alive because of like her devil fruit power. Like basically like her like crazy strong devil fruit power has like kind of like shaped the whole like culture of the island, how like
Hmm.
they have people like she needs to like collect the soul tax from all of like the citizens in order for them to like live under her protection. That's like how they pay her for her protection or whatever. And then like that's the reason why all of these like little inanimate objects like these like Alice in Wonderland style things, the homies, are just like able to
The
exist and
homies.
stuff. So like it's really cool. Like that is like also really really good One Piece like classic Oda shit where it's like uh he really thinks about like what the implications of like the devil fruit would be on like the the whole area and stuff. And I really think that that was one of the high points of the setting for
Hmm.
me was just how it was all built around Big Mom. And then when we learn more about Big Mom, everything about the setting just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, for sure. I really like.
About like the setting being like an extra character almost, and in this
Mm-hmm.
case, like the setting was
Yeah,
a character.
yeah, for
Uh-huh.
sure. Um, that whole part towards the beginning of the arc with them first in that forest with all the homies, and they find uh, the dad of the previous character, Lola, is that her name?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lola's dad,
Oh my
who's
God. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that whole thing, and they're first fighting the Mirror Lady, Creme Brulee. Like that was a great like little romp around. It's just a very silly it's just like so many different things. You're like, what the hell is going on? Like
Yeah.
there's devil fruit powers at play, but you don't know what the devil fruit powers are, and the mirror stuff ends up being creme brulee, but then you're still wondering like, well, how is all that stuff alive? Like, what the hell's going on with that? And
Hmm.
yeah,
All the
it's
trees
Mhm.
are talking,
yeah, the
and
trees are talking. Um, and then you end up learning about it later, and that kind of plays into it. And yeah, just a absolutely fantastic setting. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
I also loved how he opened up the arc, and I guess there was like a middle portion and an end where he literally like wrote songs and has like
Hmm.
everyone dancing and singing like a Disney movie.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. That was something that I think I talked to Kyle about a bit like or no, I think I was talking to you about it, Luke, or maybe it was you and Max about like maybe the song part at least seems like it'd be pretty nice to see in the anime, which I
Yeah.
might go back and watch. The scene that in particular I was thinking about was like Big Mom eating the cake. That seemed like a pretty cool scene because there was like a song playing when she eats it, and she's like, "This is the
Hmm.
greatest thing I've ever eaten in my entire
Yeah.
life."
Oh my God. Like her face in that scene is like, it's just like she's like crying. It's
Yeah,
so good.
yeah.
Um,
I liked
yeah.
her. I guess we could just talk about Big Mom really quick. Her as a character, I liked her backstory. It
Hmm.
kind of reminded me of like a Demon Slayer last ditch effort to I don't know. It didn't seem like they were trying to make her like a redeemable character, but like it kind of gives you a better understanding of why she's doing what she's doing, and like is
Yeah.
it like it does seem like very intentional at this point, but at what point did it really become intentional? Because like as a kid she didn't really know what she was doing, but then
Hmm.
at some point that switch that flipped, and she definitely knows what she's doing these days, and
Yeah, I love Big Mom, and I love how like she's characterized almost as like a force of nature, like she is a character, but also like her children are like kind of like trying to like manipulate her into like doing what they want. So like she's not like completely in control of the whole situation, but she's just really fucking strong and really powerful. And like she has these like, you know, base desires of just like food.
yeah,
And then like that's like so when she gets into like one of her like food rages where she's like hangry and like her kids are like trying to like manipulate her and like take her around the island so they don't get fucking killed because she will literally kill her kids like if they get in the way of her
mhm,
trying to eat food. I just love how like Big Mom is like she's like a force of nature, like she is like she's a character, but at the same time she's kind of like out of control and like no one can really control her and stuff.
and
And
she literally controls
yeah,
like two forces of nature, like the fire cloud and the storm cloud.
exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it kind of adds to the
And
whole thing.
I also love how she is a huge slut and she has had hundreds of kids and she's fucked like 50 dudes. And pretty good for her because like it's just like so cool how like okay, she's Big Mom and like she literally is like a big mom. Like she is like a mom. And like like that is what makes her strong is that she has so many kids and that's something that you know uh like you hear a lot about like the huge meme of like oh it's like a strong female character or whatever but like Big Mom is like actually using like what makes Big Mom such a good strong female character is that like uh the mom aspect is like that is something that is like uniquely feminine, and so like she is actually using she's not just like a woman that is like basically a man character but just like with boobs.
Yeah,
Like this character would not make sense like as a man,
yeah,
so it's just like that like also just makes her just like so interesting and unique because yeah, you don't really see a lot of characters like that where like the fact they are a mom is like their source of strength.
yeah. Well, just moms in general aren't like super a big focal point. I mean, like unless it's like a queen or something, like just
Hmm.
generally not like a huge focal point. It's usually like those
Like
people
the
are past their
pirates.
prime. It's usually focused on like the kids or whatever. So
Hmm.
Yeah. usually it's almost seen as like a point of weakness that
Yeah,
like, oh, they're like, they have to like take care of their kids or whatever. But it's like in this, it's like a source of strength, and I really like that about
yeah.
Big Mom.
Yeah, it's a source of strength, and I wouldn't say she's a good mom, but
Oh, she's a terrible
Yeah.
mom. She was terrible
uh,
to Lola.
so I gotta ask because I forget if it was confirmed or not, but she totally ate everyone on that island when she was a kid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she like wakes up
And
and
Um,
and
everyone's gone,
and
right?
and, and therefore she ate Mother Carmel,
uh-huh.
and you know, is she still like mentally a 5-year-old?
Like
Because that would
I
make
think that
sense. She certainly acts like it, you know.
mhm. I think that she is like kind of like meant. I don't know if she's. Yeah, I think that definitely certain
Like
aspects
she
of
she
her
is certainly a
herself are.
giant
Yeah.
baby, which makes sense. Like she has her hunger tantrums, and
Uh-huh.
she could say, "I like this person for now," and then they do one little minor thing, and now all of a sudden, you're not my friend anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She definitely is like, yeah, like a child. And I love like also I love how like we kind of like early on into the arc we like learned what like Big Mom's dream is, to like have everyone all like have dinner with like a bunch of people of all different races, and everyone is like the same as like eye level, eating at eye level is what she says. So because she like, she's like on Caesar about like, oh, you got to like, do the gigantification shit, like so everyone can be huge like me. I love how she has like such like a weirdly specific goal,
Yeah.
like her dream is like and it's like it's kind of like it's good-hearted, like she's like she just wants everyone to like be able to eat and have a good time and like hang out and be friends. But like the way that she goes about it is like, she's like a force of destruction.
Yeah.
So yeah, really cool for Big Mom.
Yeah, when she first mentions like her goal, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a nice goal. Like that's a relatively wholesome
Uh-huh.
goal." But then like you get like
Yeah.
people like talking about how like she like sends the heads of family members in boxes to people. It's like, "Oh, maybe she's not a good person."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, she's definitely like she flips a switch,
yeah. Hmm.
when she's just in a rage.
Yeah. Um, I really liked Pudding as a character. I thought that her semi-redemption was nice, and it was also,
Hmm.
I guess that was also kind of an emotional moment. Not crazy emotional, but like her wiping Sanji's memory of the kiss or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty great scene, and just like her whole thing of like she was kind of in a like it was a good comparison between her and Sanji because like they're both struggling as kids of these famous parents and their siblings have been successful but they haven't had as much success or something um and she seems pretty evil but then Sanji like doesn't really care that she has a third eye, which is something she struggled with her whole life or whatever, and that kind of like opens her up to Sanji, and that whole dynamic between the two like going throughout the chapter was nice because like I mean, I honestly did not see her like being so evil, like that the one scene where Sanji finds out, like looking through the window, like she's like torturing Sanji's sister or whatever. Like that was
Hmm.
very unexpected for me. Um,
Oh man, yeah. And like how at that point, like Sanji had just started to cope. He's like, all
yeah,
right, well, it's not as nice as like, living being a pirate, but like at least Pudding is like a really sweet and nice girl, and
yeah,
like I'll still be happy in my own way, even though I'm not actually living my dreams. And then right as he like accepts that, it's just snatched away. And like the scene where he's just like out in the rain trying to light his cigarette, it's like, oh my God,
yeah. It was yeah,
rip
definitely
Sanji.
sad for Sanji. But
Yeah,
then it ends up working out because she's unable to execute her part of the plan because Sanji's just too nice to her, and
yeah,
she kind of simps for Sanji most of the rest of the arc, which is nice because it's like a very flipped. I think this is pretty much the first moment that people like somebody has been Sanji for Sanji basically. Like Sanji will
yeah,
say something chivalrous to her, and she'll have like her like a little side panel thing where she's like, "Oh my God, he's so nice," or something like that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and she'll get the hard eyes for him, and I think she even gets a nosebleed at one point. Um,
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
and yeah, it's kind of funny to see that flip side. But yeah, I thought she was a good character, and like um, honestly, definitely like like shipping is not a good thing in One Piece. Like generally, I think
I was just gonna say,
Kyle
yeah.
hates it, but like if I had to ship anybody so far with Sanji, it'd be her because like they're both cooks.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Like this seems like the most likely um end game ship for Sanji.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
I
the
think
fact that
that
they're both
it's
cooks and like the fact that she's gone her entire life with for somebody that like has no that does not care about her third eye, and she finds that in Sanji, and Sanji's nice to her, and Sanji seems to like her a lot, and then yeah, it's just very wholesome relationship. But then you have the sad moment where they kiss, and then she wipes his memory. Also, her power is really strong. I kept thinking about that. Like, she has a memory power. Like,
yeah,
that's
you can definitely use it in some creative ways.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but
Um,
yeah, I like Pudding. She was good. She
yeah.
was fun.
I liked
She was a nice
how
addition to the arc.
I think I saw it in SBS, but I didn't notice it before. But like, if you go back to like, it's like chapter 500 or something, when you first like go to like the shadow room with like Big Mom, Pudding is there, which is super cool.
Uh-huh, yeah.
I think it was
You
like
see like someone with three eyes,
yeah, it
yeah.
was like literally like 300 or 400 chapters before. It was Pudding
Hmm.
and her little slime buddy.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of hundreds of chapters before, um, the fucking like the Lola's Vivre card, um,
Yeah, that
ends up
too.
being
Yeah, or
ends
Lola
up
in
being
general.
Big Mom's. Yeah, yeah, and Lola was relevant in this arc again. Um, and I mean, I uh don't think that it was like super mind blowing or whatever, that like it ended up being Big Mom because she said, "Oh, my mom is like a big deal in the new world." I think at that point, Big Mom had been named, so it's not like a huge stretch to say that it would be Big Mom. But what was really, really good about it was how like not only was it just like a Vivre card that would like lead you to Big Mom or whatever, because it had already been established that that's like what those pieces of paper do. But also because Vivre cards are like made with parts of like the person's like soul or whatever, it had power over the homies.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like when Nami whipped it out, like all of the homies were like, oh my god, like you have the power, and they like wouldn't attack, and they would like, Nami could like boss them around and stuff. It's like it's just like giving something that like had already been set up just like another meaning that like you couldn't have possibly predicted, but it makes perfect sense with the mechanics of One Piece.
Yeah.
It's like basically combining like the mechanics of Vivre cards with like the mechanics of like Big Mom's power,
Hmm.
and it's just like that is like so good. And like huge brain Oda if you like actually plan all of that ahead of time, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because he definitely does plan out like people's powers and stuff. Like he definitely knows like all of like everyone's powers for at least all the big people, because he's had it planned out for so long. And huge brain Oda, and super respect for that, because
Yeah.
that was it was big brain.
Another cool
When I
aspect.
first saw it, that was something I totally forgot about too.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Uh-huh.
oh yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
I love the dynamic with also Brooks' power as well. Like he's the Soul King, and like Big Mom's power is all about souls. So like he gets
Yep.
direct like his like we were talking about like those devil fruit powers that kind of intertwine, and like his isn't a devil fruit power, but like his whole thing is like reaching their souls basically, and
Uh-huh.
that like direct almost a direct counter to her minions. I think it was like the chess pieces in general. Like he was able to
Uh-huh.
just completely control them or like completely defeat them because he is the Soul King, which is super cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, when
And
they said that Big Mom's power was like the soul fruit, I was like, please, Oda, please let like Brook do something with this. And of course he fucking did. He delivered, and it was great.
Yeah.
while we're talking about Brooke, in Dressrosa we had Frankie as the MVP. Brooke was the MVP of this arc,
Oh yeah,
big
for
time.
sure. Yeah.
Oh
He
yeah,
slept. He slept with Big Mom and walked
yeah.
away
What a
with three
Chad,
poneglyphs.
Yeah. And
dude. Also he calls Big Mom young lady because he is canonically older than Big Mom.
doesn't he
It's so
finally
Yes.
fucking nice.
does doesn't he also like get to see some panties or like he asked Big Mom to see your panties or something like
Yeah,
that?
he said
Yeah,
that to her.
Like that's pretty what a Chad.
No,
And I
and then
guess
I
he
mean
was
he
the
must
first
have
of the
seen it.
Straw Hats to face up 1-on-1 against her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because he cut Zeus
Hmm.
with
Yeah.
his, with his quick draw, and he definitely saw Big Mom's panties when he was doing that because he was going right under there. Are you telling me that Brooke wouldn't sneak a peek? Like he definitely would.
Yeah.
So yes, like fuck yeah for Brooke. Like yeah, this is definitely like it had been a long time coming because honestly, not since like Thriller Bark when Brooke was first introduced has Brooke like had this much to do and like been this important in One Piece. And I fucking love Brooke.
Yeah.
So this is like a long time coming, and I'm so glad that Brooke had his time to shine in this arc.
Honestly, I feel like all the Straw Hats got pretty good amount of
I
uh
agree. Yeah.
I think Chopper probably the least, but he still did quite a bit.
Oh yeah, except for Chopper. Chopper like barely did anything this arc.
Yeah, compared to
Um,
everyone else. But
but
like Nami had like a really good moment with her being able to like she kind of gets to control semi control the one cloud, which is like super
hmm
important because that like basically
yeah.
saves their lives. And then you get well Sanji obviously is like the focal point of the whole arc, which is cool. So you get to see
hmm
his backstory. But yeah, it
Sanji didn't get to do much besides like make the cake at the end.
yeah, but that's still pretty
Yeah.
big. And
Yeah.
like
I'm glad that they gave Sanji something to do that's like related to his like job,
mhm,
not just like fighting. Because if there was
Mhm.
any arc where it was going to be important that Sanji was a cook, it would be this one because
yeah,
the entire like island is themed around cooking.
yeah,
So
Mhm.
I think that it was like a very fitting like thing for Sanji to do.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
And we do get to see Sanji fighting in flashbacks at least, so it's not like he doesn't fight at all.
hmm
And he beats Luffy's
Yeah. Well, and he
ass
also
when
like
Luffy's not.
faces Judge a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
but yeah, I mean, he doesn't. This isn't like a fighting arc for Sanji.
yeah, but like you said, I think it's pretty fitting for like if there's gonna
Yeah,
be an arc
I
where
think it was a perfect choice. I think
yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't have done it any differently.
yeah. Um, but yeah, Chopper doesn't do too much. He like has this like thing with
Yeah,
Carrot, like they kind of get into some shenanigans.
I
Um,
think this is the part where you basically, this is the point where I accepted that Chopper is just not going to be relevant anymore. Like Chopper literally, like he's just there to like be cute and sell merch, I feel like, because he hasn't done anything in so long and like well, like why? Why even have more? Like, yeah. Like if you think about it, like every other Straw Hat has had like big things to do in like every arc. I mean, not every arc, but like Dressrosa and this one, I think that a lot like the basically Oda was like, okay, there's going to be a lot of characters that are for the arc. I have a lot of Straw Hats, and like I don't have enough for all of them to do everything. So I'm just going to split the crew, and then like we're going to give like the spotlight on these Straw Hats for this arc, and then the spotlight on these Straw Hats for the next one. And pretty much everyone like did something in like Dressrosa, and pretty much everyone did something in this arc except for Chopper. Chopper like basically didn't do anything. He was just running around the whole arc. And
yeah.
yeah, so Rip Chopper, I think it's over for him.
I think I think the biggest thing wasn't he like the kind of the mastermind behind the mirror like it was like him and Nami that kind of came up with that idea because they were together at that time. I think so.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like him thinking of something or like coming up with a plan is not the same as like do like everyone else like was doing things,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
everyone else was like had impressive things where it was like even like Nami who I before this like Nami was like I don't know I kind of felt like that Oda had kind of already done everything that he was going to do with Nami but this arc I was like very impressed that Nami was like still doing things and like growing and like yeah I was like pleasantly surprised with Nami as a character in this arc but not Chopper I was disappointed with how Oda decided to use Chopper.
Yeah.
I was really surprised at how much Nami grew in this arc.
Yeah.
Like,
hmm
she was up there 1v1 against Big Mom too, and held her own.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 definitely. I mean, she kind of like counters Big Mom at least one of her because Big Mom, her power is like her strong homies. Like that's essentially like what she ends up using in fights. Like is like
Right.
Prometheus, Zeus, and Napoleon.
Yep.
And like she hard counters Zeus, so like she can basically like cut Big Mom's power in like 1/3 or like maybe a little bit less because she has other tricks up her sleeve. But pretty
Hmm.
much, she counters like a big aspect of Big Mom's strength.
Yep.
So yeah, like good for Nami.
Hmm.
Like I was impressed because Nami has never been characterized as like a strong character.
Yep.
But I think that like it totally makes sense based on like what she's shown before. It wasn't like an ass pull or anything. It's like, oh, Big Mom has like a weather thing, so like obviously Nami should be able to mess with that.
Yeah.
So
As
yeah,
soon as I
that
saw
was
that
good.
she had like a little storm cloud around, I was like, ah, okay, I see where this is going. Nami's got something up her sleeve for
Yeah,
that one. Um,
yeah.
And I
yeah.
guess our other straw hat, Jimbei, was pretty cool too.
Yeah, new Jinbei or new Straw Hat Jinbei. He's what, the helmsman?
The helmsman,
Yeah, we
yep.
get to see him
The
do some
helmsman.
pretty good helmsmaning this arc, which is nice.
Yeah,
Because that's a good introduction. If you say that he's going to be this role and you want to see him perform in that role, and you get to see that right away, pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
sure enough,
yeah.
he's got the Sunny riding the
yeah, he's
waves, and
surfing,
yeah.
which
But
is
here's my question: as has the Straw Hats ever had trouble steering the ship before? Like, do we really need like was there like were we really hurting for a helmsman? Were we like, damn, like there are situations where we can't get the ship where we need it to be? Like they've always been able to do it. They've just had like, Chopper's driven the ship a couple times, like Nami's been shown like at the helm. Like pretty much
A
just
lot.
whoever is there
Yeah.
is just doing it. Like they don't really I feel like like I don't know, it
what
just felt
other
like
what
they were
other what other
making
position
something
do you
up to
think they
give
need?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they like really need anyone else. Like
Yeah,
I
and I
I don't know.
think that's the point. I think he's just a really influential person in the One Piece world.
Yeah,
He's really strong, and it's just a bonus that he can drive the ship really well because he's a fishman.
yeah, yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
I
know.
don't think he really needed a a title on the crew
Yeah.
really, but
Um,
uh,
Yeah.
he's certainly a necessary member.
I think he's might
Yeah.
be the most. Let's see. I'm trying to think back. I think he's the most famous person that's joined the crew since Nico Robin. I'd say. Is that?
Definitely.
Probably ever. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a Shichibukai. Like
Well,
he's
yeah,
got to
yeah, yeah.
be.
I'm just saying, like most of the other people have been like,
Oh
no,
yeah, yeah.
quote unquote nobodies. I mean, they've been
Hmm.
famous maybe in their current area, but other than that, but like
Yeah.
Nico Robin was a very, very noteworthy person. Like she was known around the world as like this terrible person, or like she
Yeah.
had a bounty or whatever. But then yeah,
Hmm.
Jinbei is literally was a Shichibukai, so like that's huge. That's and
Everyone
he's
knows
joining.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the scene where he like stands up for like why he wants to join Luffy's crew. Like that was a great scene. Like that really inspired me to like yeah, fuck yeah, Luffy's yeah, he believes in Luffy. Like that's awesome.
Yeah, so not only is Jinbei like the
Battery
most
low.
well-known and perhaps powerful at the time of their joining um, member of the crew, but he's also the most boring because I do not
Is
think that
he?
Jinbei is like nearly as likable as any of the other Straw Hats. All the other Straw Hats have some like I don't know, like spark that like makes me like be like, yeah, they like fit on the crew as a Straw Hat. But I feel like Jinbei is just like his whole thing like up until this point like in every arc he's kind of
Charging
just like
battery.
functioned as like the like he just like says exposition and stuff and he's like oh like this is like why this is important and stuff and he just seems like he's too old for the Straw Hats like he's just like I don't know like I was not a fan of like Gene like the whole like will he won't he kind of like is he going to join is he not going to join like ooh there's like obstacles in his path to join but it's like obviously if he wants to join he's just going to fucking join and then like he does join um and I don't
In
know. It
his
just
defense,
seems
he
like
was tied up with Big Mom. Like it is a big deal to cut off ties with her.
Yeah.
well,
I
I
actually
know,
even
but
like
like
the aspect of him being older because like it adds a certain prestige to Luffy that he hasn't had before. Like like besides Nico Robin, like it just gives Luffy that much more prestige going forward. Like when he meets the next big person, they're gonna say, "Oh my God, Jinbei, the Knight of the Sea, join Luffy's crew." Like Luffy's the real deal. Like Luffy might like people may have
Yep.
seen Luffy's wanted poster and said, "Okay, Luffy's the real deal," but like that kind of prestigious like addition to it, like I feel like that adds so much more weight to Luffy's
Yeah.
career.
When other people look at Jinbei joining Luffy's crew, like, yeah, that just adds another depth of
Yeah, and I can
like
see
I
legitness.
I can see like
I would just
where you're
rather
coming
have the
from.
legitness come from like Luffy's actions and like
Well, I think it
what
did
him and
though.
his I don't know. I
Like
mean,
the
it just
reason
seems
Jinbei
like
would want to join is because of Luffy's actions and like what Luffy's done.
This
I,
this is this is a guy who's been around the block,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
he sees Luffy and he wants a part of that.
Yeah.
I
Um,
guess, but it's just like what okay, like if there was like a scene where it's like, oh wow, like Straw Hat Luffy, like he's so cool that Jinbei joined his crew. That's almost like being like Jinbei is cooler than Straw Hat Luffy. Like he fucking came down from the heavens and said like, oh Straw Hat Luffy, you are worthy. I will join your crew. Like it's just much better if it's like, oh Straw Hat Luffy, he's the one who fucking attacked the government in Ennie's lobby. He's the one who like freed all of those crazy ass like prisoners from the fucking impel down just to save his brother. Like that is like shit that he did and shit that he earned. Whereas like with Jinbei, it's just like, oh, like Jinbei just like he he thought he was cool enough to join and
I
like
think
I don't know.
I don't think they're mutually
Yeah.
exclusive. Like I think there's going to be a mix of people. Like some people have probably definitely heard more of Jinbei. Like he was a member of the Marines, like as a Shichibukai. Like that's pretty big, and like that automatically just gets your name out, even if you're not that strong. Like everyone, like for instance, everyone knows Buggy now because he's a Shichibukai, but like he may not be even that strong. I think it's just like a nice little addition that you can like. Some people will recognize him because of Jinbei's addition, and some people will recognize him for his actions more. Um,
That's really
Yeah,
cool. I,
that's
I would be okay with Shanks joining the crew.
I would not be okay
Like
with that.
honestly,
I
I
could,
like
I
these
I,
these
I,
these
I
are these
don't
are big wigs that are looking at Luffy and they're like, I want to be a part of that. It's not
like
they're
okay,
not the captain. They're not the captain. They're subordinates under
yeah,
Luffy.
they're willingly becoming subordinates.
okay, I would like it. I would have had like no problem with it if Jinbei like became one of like the other captains in Luffy's fleet. Like if he was like, "Oh, I want my crew to be like, your subordinate crew." Because it's also like Jinbei's just like abandoning all of his crew. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're fine because we like you so much." But like can you imagine if like Luffy did that? If Luffy was like, "Oh, like I am like a captain and like now I'm just going to like leave my crew to like join this other guy." Like the Straw Hats would be like, "What the fuck, Luffy? Like we want to be with you because of your like ambition and your dream and your
Yeah,
drive and stuff." And that's another thing is I feel like Jinbei, like every other member of the Straw Hat crew, has a clearly stated dream that they want to achieve, and they think that being with Luffy will help them achieve their dream. But Jinbei does not have that. Jinbei like has not
That
stated
we know
what
of.
his
yeah,
dream
yeah.
is.
I kind of,
That we know of, but like all of the other ones had it before they joined, and like it that endeared you to them. That means that they're a real character with like ambitions. Whereas like Jinbei is just like, oh, I don't know, like I'm just like this kind of like washed up guy now, and like I'll just join Luffy because he's a cool dude. It's like I don't mind the fact that Jinbei like respects Luffy and like wants to be his ally or whatever. But I would much rather it be like not as like Straw Hat Crew slots are special. Previously they've been like a lot more. Like all the characters have dreams. Like I think that's like probably one of my biggest problems with Jinbei joining is that he just doesn't seem like the same. He doesn't have the same like dream. He doesn't have the same like ambition, and also he's just boring. Like all the other ones are
He
like
was
funny
asked.
in some way, or like I don't know. Jinbei is just
At
like
least he was asked to join the crew.
yeah. I do. I think his motivation, the motivation that I saw for him is that he just wants to see Luffy become Pirate King because he believes in him. And it may not be the most glamorous motivation. It's not like a personal motivation, but I think I like the motivation, and it's a motivation we haven't really gotten from. Like they all want to see Luffy become the Pirate King, and like that may be their secondary motivation besides their like true motivation. But I'm okay with that being his motivation. I do agree that he is somebody that we have not gotten to see a whole lot of personality out of, and I'm hoping that changes going forward. But like he definitely, we talk about characters playing the straight man a lot, and like he definitely seems like a straight man. And is there going to be enough room for another straight man in there? And like like you said, he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of personality towards him, and I'm hoping we to see a bit more out of that later on. Um, but yeah, that would probably be my biggest drawback. besides, yeah, that would probably be my biggest drawback for Jinbei. Other than that, I really like him as a character. Like he's cool. He's a fishman, which is something that I've thought about. Like they talk like fishmen are such an integral part of the One Piece universe, and ever since they introduced them, like, hey, what if Luffy had a fisherman on their team? Like going back to like the fishermen that we've known, like Hachi could have joined at some point. Not that he's super strong or anything, but he's an established fishman character. And yeah, I don't know. I overall I like him as an addition because it's somebody that Luffy has had a very strong bond with going back to even before the times, like going back way before the time skip, Impel Down. And
Yeah,
I
also
guess
there's
we can just
Impel
agree to
Down, and
disagree.
Jinbei was there to help Luffy in his most vulnerable time.
yeah, exactly. And also he knew Luffy's brother really well, so
Hmm.
um yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I'm curious to
yeah,
see
it's
where
fine.
they go with it because like you said, the personality thing is interesting and I'm curious to see. Like you said, he's an old man, but that's a bonus and a not so bonus. I don't know. You mentioned
And I mean,
him
I
being
don't have a
washed
problem
up,
with
but I
him
don't
being.
I don't even know if he's washed up. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I
he's
don't know. I'm
ex
just gonna.
Shichibukai, but that was because he quit. It wasn't because he was fired for being like washed up or something. So
I
I'm
wouldn't have a problem with Jinbei if like the story didn't try to make him such a big deal because I think that like he's not a bad character. I just think that the role that he's been given in the narrative like is like way too big for Jinbei as he is, and that just like makes me dislike him more because
gotcha.
like yeah, I just
Okay.
yeah, he's not like my most hated character at One Piece or anything, but I guess he's now, and he's definitely my least favorite member of the crew, like no doubt.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how he evolves, and I'm sure I will have a
Yeah,
stronger opinion after reading a bit more. But
yeah. The good news is this arc is not the Jinbei arc.
yeah, he doesn't
That's
really
just
have.
like one aspect of it. And maybe if we had a Jinbei arc, I might like it more because he'd have a little bit more space to breathe. But I'm glad that he there was like a few moments where I was like, okay, you're sucking Jinbei's dick a little too hard. That was like not the majority of this arc. The majority of this arc was not focused on Jinbei. The majority of this arc was focused on the amazing Big Mom pirates, who I think last time I carefully said that the Doflamingo pirates were my favorite crew up until that point, but the Big Mom pirates easily blow the Doflamingo pirates out of the water. They're so fucking cool, and I love how there's just like they all have like so unique like designs and powers, and I love how they're all one family, and I love how they all are like cutthroat and like kind of like trying to like vie for the top spot. And it doesn't really it's like a very toxic family, but it's also like really believable, and it's fucking cool, and I love the Big Mom Pirates, so I'm
Um,
glad that
Definitely.
we
yeah,
got to see a lot of them.
I
Even like the throwaway ones that were like only there for like one panel, like the one fucking chick with like the really really long and wide hat, Lady Amande with her like huge sword, her huge hat, and like her really long neck. She's fucking sick, and like she only has like a couple panels. There's the one guy who's literally Captain Crunch. He's fucking epic. There's like the little kid on like the bike. He's super cool. Like there's just like so many like fucking Big Mom pirates that appear for like maybe 5 panels in the whole arc, and I'm just like, yes, these guys are fucking sick, and I love them. And yeah, I just love the Big Mom pirates. They're all really cool.
yeah, I don't know if I like them more than the Doflamingo Pirates. I feel like I didn't get as good of like a personality for each and every one, and just maybe it was because the fact that it seemed like there's so many more. Like they're like
There
the
are a
main
lot more.
there are like the main ones. You've got like the guy with the well, obviously like Katakuri, who's in the arc itself, like he had been like awakened devil fruit powers, but it also seemed like he was like Luffy's powers, but almost better.
Yeah. Oh my
Obviously,
God. Yeah. I mean, we're gonna talk about Katakuri
yeah,
like
yeah,
maybe at
but
the end because
yeah,
I have a lot to say about Katakuri.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Katakuri is obviously the best one. But you also have like
You got like the fire guy that's like
Pero
fighting with.
Sparrow.
You got the fighter guy,
I like
fire guy.
Parasparrow a lot.
Who's that guy?
He's
He's the
the
licking one.
candy guy. He's got
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
long
yeah.
long
Is he the
tongue.
firstborn son or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's the
Yeah,
first one.
he
Yeah.
was very integral for the whole thing. Like he was constantly like at Big Mom's side. Then you've got
Uh-huh.
like the long leg lady that's like will crush you with her
Yeah, Smoothie.
thighs.
Smoothie.
Smoothie.
Yeah, Smoothie. I kind of wish Smoothie did more this arc because Smoothie is cool,
Yeah,
but
Smoothie was
Hmm.
cool.
and like she has a really interesting power,
Yeah,
but
I liked
yeah.
Cracker. The fight with Cracker at the very beginning was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
liked
the reveal that he is actually not like he's like, bro, that was just my armor.
yeah.
That was pretty
Yeah.
sick. Um, yeah, that was cool. And also like that fight was really awesome. Like fucking like giant ass like obese Luffy. What did he call it? It was like I
Tank
think it was
Man or
like
something.
Tank Man. Yeah, Tank
Yeah.
Man was awesome and
Yeah.
hilarious. And literally like this is why I love Gear Force because of like the stupid shit like that.
Well, you get
And
Snake
it's
Man
fucking
later
hilarious.
on.
Yeah, Snake Man is cool. Tank Man is Tank Man
Uh,
is another level though.
I liked later on when Luffy finds out he has to keep eating again. Like he's like, oh my god, this is gonna be like the only thing that I have to do to beat these people. Just keep eating. I can't eat this much. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Um,
liked Oven a lot.
which one was
yeah,
Oven? Was he
Oven's
the fire
cool.
guy?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Arvin was the one who like has heating powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his
Um.
powers are really cool where he just like heats the ocean. Like, oh shit, that's fucking strong.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like a really, really just, and especially like in the world of One Piece because it's on the ocean all the time, so he could just do that.
Yep.
Pretty sick.
I guess
Um.
Drusen was a cool character, and that's the one who pretty much corrupted Big Mom.
Yeah, he was like, "Ooh, I see potential here." Yeah,
Yeah.
Was he
he
the
was cool.
chef?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was the guy who was like, he was like the only, or were there? Yeah, he was like the only witness, or was there another
There
witness?
was two
There was. I
witnesses,
think they
yeah.
said there was. Who was the other one again? I forget.
There was a giant who saw it.
Yeah, the giant.
Oh, the giant. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, planting seeds, Oda. We love to see it.
Well, yeah, planting
Um,
seeds and also growing trees that have already been planted long ago. Because like giants have been like just teased constantly throughout One Piece, and like we get
Yeah.
yeah, and we
another
see
little
Elbaf.
piece.
We
Yeah,
see
yeah,
Elbaf.
we get another little piece of giant lore, and like I think we see one of Luffy's crew members when he's young, the giant guy, and I think we see
Oh yeah, one of the fleet guys.
do
Yeah,
we see Dory and
Hydrogen.
Broggy, or do they definitely get mentioned at
No,
least?
they mentioned them. They had already left at that point.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because I mean that they had been fighting on like Little Garden for like
Oh yeah, like
I mean
200 years or something.
yeah a crazy amount of time. So they had already left. They were I think they actually mentioned like, damn, we haven't seen those guys in a while. Like I wonder what happened to them.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
yeah, they're probably on Little Garden at that point.
planting seeds and growing trees with these giants.
Yeah,
I feel like that's gonna
and you know
be
the tree is not yet done growing because I still have hope that we're gonna get to Elbaf. We're
no
going to Elbaf.
Dory
Like
and Broggy need to come back.
there's no way that we're not going to Elbaf. Like Usopp explicitly said, I want to fucking go to Elbaf, and Luffy's like, bet. So they're gonna
Yeah.
go. Um,
Um,
yeah,
trying to think of
I
other
thought
Big Mom pirates that we see. Daifuki is
Daifuku,
one.
the guy with
Daifuku,
the
sorry.
guy with
Yeah,
the
he's
genie
one.
guy.
He was
Yeah,
kind of whatever.
it's kind of an he basically has a stand. Like I thought it
Yeah,
was he's like a JoJo character.
yeah.
He's pretty cool. Um, who else? Let me just look at a fucking list because the wiki has like every single one, even the ones that are like, you know, uh, that are in one panel. And the funny, like some of the funniest ones are just the ones that are in in one panel.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
I do want
Oh, you got like
to.
the like slug guy. Like I think his name was like Nitro or something,
Yeah.
where he has like the cream powder. Yeah, he's good. What were you
Uh,
gonna say?
I want to talk about the German double six because they were cool. I
Hmm.
liked. Well, I thought they were less cool, or they were cooler than I thought they were going to be after they were first introduced. Because like you don't get to see too much of them, and then you
They're
get
the Power Rangers.
yeah, they're literally the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw like they were like, oh, Sanji's the third kid, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, Sanji, and then I was like, oh, that means the first two are going to be the Ichiji and what is I can't remember Japanese for
Niji.
twos. Yeah, Niji. Which going back to like fucking I don't know middle school or whatever when you do fucking karate and they do fucking counting in Japanese like hey I finally came back to yeah and yeah, I like them coming back and like fighting. I thought it was cool. Like they kind of stand their ground at one point, and you get some pretty cool panels with them because like they look like the Power Rangers, but at the same time they still look pretty cool. Um, and they like at one point like they're like yeah just go on ahead. we'll handle these guys. It looks pretty grim, but then you get like it like goes back to them after a while, and they just absolutely destroyed everybody around them. And like their power is like they're kind of like cyborgs or something. Like they've got like special suits, but also it seems like they were like kind of engineered almost, genetically engineered maybe. I don't know exactly what the deal
Hmm.
was, but they were cooler than I
Yeah.
thought they were going to be. But also I still kind of hate them because they fucked up Sanji. So,
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, them in the flashback are irredeemable.
well, actually no,
They're the
I
worst.
like Sanji's sister. Sanji's sister's cool.
She's all right. I don't know. She still let
She
it
was
happen.
smooching on Luffy.
Was she smooching on Luffy? I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
She
Well,
was
when she was
sucking the
like, "Oh,
poison out of
he's
him.
Oh
poisoned."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and notably Chopper was, "Oh no, the poison is too strong for me. Even though I'm a doctor, I can't fucking Chopper do anything anymore." But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're all right. I like the biggest problem that I have with them is like how like they didn't even anticipate the fact that Big Mom might be trying to trick them, you know? Like they just seems like kind of naive. They were like, "Oh man, yeah, like we're gonna marry Sanji and then it's gonna be great. We're gonna be like on equal footing with these guys." And it's like,
They just seem
I don't
like
know, they
they just
just
seem like a naive group in
expect
general.
more
Like
treachery.
they
Yeah,
seem like more very up their
which
own
is not what you
ass.
would expect for like I don't know, like a an evil organization. Like you'd think they would be expecting some backstabbing
I don't know.
or at
I just kind of got the
least like,
vibe the
oh,
entire time like they were kind of like a bit they were a bit on their own high horse. Like we are this genetic clone army. Like we are superior. Like not even crossing their mind. Like we're on their way to conquer East Blue eventually, and we're gonna get this powerful alliance, and like it's all gonna be good because we're strong and we're super. Well, meanwhile they're just not as strong as they think they are. I mean, they are strong, but like I don't know. I that was the vibe that I
yeah, I mean
got,
it
and it
definitely
kind of fits
it
that
made
vibe.
them less intimidating, I would say. But it's fine because the Big Mom Pirates were more than made up for that as like the actual intimidating villains of the arc because they are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I was all right. I mean, I thought it was cool just in general. Like this is kind of like the first time that we've had like serious technology, I guess. I mean, I guess apart from like the pacifista, but this is like a different one because it's like genetics and stuff,
Yeah, it kind of
bio
reminded
weapon.
me of something that we haven't really seen a big impact of that after they were introduced, but the Skypea, what are those things called?
The dials.
The dials.
Dials, yeah.
I was hoping we'd see more from the dials because those seem like pretty unique to Skypea, and we haven't really seen too much from them.
Hmm.
But that's kind of the vibe that I was
Yeah,
getting from that.
I think he kind of got rid of it because he realized how OP those impact dials were. Like
Yeah,
imagine just eating one of Big Mom's attacks and then sending it back to her twice as powerful.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
just broken.
yeah. I can
yeah.
definitely see that.
That would be pretty epic if just like
Just
if here they were
Usopp,
like
Usopp.
if someone was just like, wait, what if I just use an impact dial? Then everyone's like, oh shit, nice.
Yeah. That's he's saving it up for the final battle in the entire series.
Oh my God, I would literally
Luffy's about to
coup.
die, and God Usopp comes up and
God,
bodies bodies.
God be Usopp.
Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah,
shall
no,
see.
that'd be sick. Um, yeah, and then Usopp becomes Pirate King on accident.
On accident.
Yep.
And then Luffy's like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Um,
Um, trying to think of other. I guess we could talk about Katakuri.
yep,
Katakuri
the
was
best part of the arc.
cool, but at the same time, as soon as I saw him, I was like, this is going to be the fan favorite. I'm 100%. And it seems like
And
that's the case.
he's my favorite, and I'm a fan. But I wanna explain why he's my favorite.
Okay.
Because he's just like so good. Okay, so well, like I love. Okay, the beginning, he's established. He's like super intimidating. He's got like he's the obvious like edge lord character design. So he's like, oh, this guy is like he's strong, or he thinks he's strong, whatever. Um, and then I love how like when he like it starts to become clear that like he's gonna fight Luffy. He's like quickly his reputation is established. This is a man who has never even let his back touch the ground. Like he's a man who like has never tasted defeat. He doesn't even lie down when he sleeps because like that is like shameful. Like when he was born, he just stood up he came out of the womb and then he sat in a chair because he's that much of a Chad, and he like never would let his back touch the ground because that would be tasting the sting of defeat. So already I'm like, wow, like this guy, like he's pretty far up his own ass clearly, and like he's very very threatening. He's never been defeated. Like that's cool. And then him and Luffy square off, and I love how fucking Katakuri like is literally like he has the exact same power as Luffy but better basically, because like he is like a stretchy man too. It's just that he's like a mochi man instead of like a rubber man, and like he can like do things that Luffy can't really do. Like at first Luffy thinks that he's like a Logia because he's like he's his attacks are going right through him, but even when he used hockey, he like can't hit him, and he's like, well, what the fuck? Like I thought it was supposed to work on Logia users. But then it turns out that he's actually just like a paramecia who's like so good with his devil fruit that he is just like reshaping his body in anticipation of the attacks because Katakuri can also see the fucking future with his fucking observation hockey, which
Yeah.
is like cool because it's like not like stupid and like it's not like, oh wow, like this is just like some bullshit power, because it's actually just really strong observation hockey, which has like already been established, so it's not like it's not just out of nowhere, and it makes sense for him to have this power, then also his cool devil fruit power. Um, and he's just like he honestly is just like a better version of Luffy for like a very long period of the fight, and he's just like beating the fuck out of him with all these like crazy attacks. Like the one I really like is when he basically like Luffy does like one of his Gatling attacks on him, and then fucking Katakuri just like he's like, oh well, like that's stupid. Like, what if you just like had a bunch of arms and then hit them all at once instead of using your two little arms really fast? He does that, and then Luffy's like, holy fuck, that really hurt. So that was just cool because he's basically like he actually thought about it. Like Luffy like doesn't really make a lot of sense to just like hit really fast because you can't really put a lot of power into it. But he is like multiplying his attack ahead of time, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Um, but like, he thinks he when he I then so all of this up until this point, he's like a badass. But then when he thinks that he's beaten Luffy, and he has pretty good reason to believe that Luffy's like fucking out of commission, he goes and he's like, holy shit, I'm late for my tea. And so then he goes into like this like house that his like subordinates have constructed for him, that's like made out of sweets because it's fucking this whole cake island, everything's made out of sweets. And he goes in there and they're like, oh, like Katakuri doesn't like to like be around people when he's eating because it's like it's a point of like meditation and reflection, and he's just so much of a badass that he doesn't like to like be around people when he's eating. And then Luffy fucking destroys it because he's still alive. And then inside, Katakuri is on his fucking back like a fucking loser, and he's eating donuts like a fucking. He's singing a little song about how delicious the donuts are, and he's like, this is like this is a man who has never even tasted defeat. He's never laid down, but in his own private little world, he is he's allowing this indulgence, and he can't abide by this. That people have seen him, so he fucking massacres all of like the cooks and people that are around him, and he's like, all right, Luffy, now you're gonna fucking die. And this is just like I was saying earlier about how this arc has a lot of good Oda isms, and this is like classic One Piece shit, where you have like a character who is simultaneously really, really badass and also a huge fucking goof and like a joke.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's like, oh, all of this, like, it was badass for Katakuri to be built up in this way, and it made him a really intimidating threat. But at the same time, it was all undercut as a joke later. It was all set up for this like fucking great joke. Um, and yeah, I mean, at that point, I was just like, all right, Katakuri is fucking awesome. And like the fight goes on. But like, yeah, I mean, I have a little bit more to say about Katakuri, but like, what did you guys think about Katakuri? You guys love him as much as I do?
Wouldn't say as much, but he is definitely the fight itself is probably like top three in all of One Piece.
Yeah, it was definitely the
Yeah,
best fight we've had in a long time, I'd say.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just because
100%.
like it's a mirror match almost, but one person
It's
has the
so
awakened devil
cool.
fruits. And like
Uh-huh.
mirror matches like you have to take every advantage you can get. So like it really pushes Luffy to like to
Yep.
adapt basically.
Which
Yeah,
by the way, talking about the importance of environment, they're literally in the mirror world while it's a mirror match, and I thought that
Yeah,
was
that's yeah,
awesome.
that's I
huge
actually
brain.
I actually had not thought about that, but yeah,
Yeah.
I thought honestly, the moment that I liked really a lot was like when he is first revealed to like have the crazy mouth, and like his number one
Hmm.
fan club sister like turns on him. She's like, "Disgusting, you're ugly," and he doesn't care
Oh
at
my
all.
God.
But then
Yeah.
also like he murders everybody around him for seeing him that way. Like he's extremely self-conscious about that stuff, and I don't know,
Uh-huh.
just like you said, it's like an Odaism, but like it's just I don't know. It's another element to the character that I really enjoyed. Um, and then
Yeah.
also just like the
So I
stakes felt
really
really
liked,
real.
yeah,
With like Luffy gets like stabbed at a certain point, and like it just felt like a
Oh
fight.
yeah, it was a brutal fight.
It felt like
Yeah.
straight up fight to the death, and like I guess we kind of got that with Doflamingo, but I never really
Oh, this
super
is like a lot better
yeah I never
because
really super felt like
Doflamingo had like a
Doflamingo.
bunch of. You would go
I
on.
never really felt like Luffy was like at death's door with Doflamingo, and like it kind of
Uh-huh.
mirrors that fight because they both like both the fights have like the 10 minute like gotta get my hockey back, but like this one is like Luffy by himself, like he can't depend on his friends to help him out. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. And like with Doflamingo, I think that he was just too he's doing too much. Like we talked about how like it
yeah,
really stretched the believability of the character for him to like be doing like controlling so many people at the same time as he's like tightening the bird cage, and like he's also fighting Luffy, and he's like recovering from like insanely powerful attacks from Law. And it's like what the fuck can this guy not do? Whereas like with Katakuri, he's a very intimidating opponent, but it's like very clear like that what the limits of his power are, because he's actually I mean he's a mirror match to Luffy, but also in terms of like fighting style, he's a similar kind of like brawler in your face type fighter that like makes it like I mean, it just like adds to the fact that it's a mirror match. Like, not only are they the same powers, but they're using them in very similar ways. But like Katakuri is a little bit more thought put into him. He's also a lot more experienced, and most importantly to the fight is that he has like this like super honed observation hockey that lets him see into the future, and that's what like gives him the edge over Luffy so much. Like I mean, it's just great. There are a couple times where like Katakuri will like responds to something that Luffy says in the next panel, and at first you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Then you realize that he's like, you can see the future, so he's like talking to like future Luffy, which is pretty cool. And then also I just love that what is set up in this fight about how like the way that Luffy can like get stronger hockey is by like facing tougher and tougher
yeah,
opponents. And in this fight, like what enables him to win at the end is like the fact that he is honing his observation hockey, and he eventually gets to a point. Katakuri is like, what the fuck? Like he's getting better. He's like he's actually avoiding some of my attacks now. Like how the fuck is this happening? And like he's worried that Luffy is like starting to close the gap. And eventually that's like what ends up happening. And Luffy figures out a way to like circumvent Katakuri's like attack or his observation hockey with Snake Man, where he can basically make attacks come from like a bunch of different directions at once. Like it's super unpredictable. So yeah, like really fucking good fight. Yeah, definitely one of the best fights in One Piece. Um, yeah,
definitely.
I love it on like a just in terms of like the actual fight. Also, it has like the literal best attack in One Piece, where Katakuri literally like he starts spinning really fast. He turns into like a donut man, and then because he's stretchy and mochi and stuff, and then he releases his attack with like this like huge like arm thing where he like hits him with his like spiky shoulder or his spiky like elbow kind of, and it just looks so brutal because he's like building up momentum. He turns into a fucking donut, so it's like hilarious. It's like it looks ridiculous, but it also looks like insanely hard to take because he turns that into like a huge like arm bar kind of where he like hits Luffy, and
yeah.
that was like a really cool thing. There's just like a lot of like really cool, just like panels that sell the grittiness of the fight that are really good.
I was like thinking about like I feel like this is probably something that's been on Oda's mind a lot. Like, what's a power that I can get somebody to have that like it's a mirror match? And I feel like he was probably just eating mochi one day. Like I've never eaten mochi, so I don't know how rubbery it is or whatever. But like he was just
Uh-huh.
eating mochi one day, like wow, that's pretty rubbery. And like he just had like a fucking epiphany. Like this could be the power of the person. Because like if you're thinking like if somebody had asked me before this arc, like what power do you think somebody would have to like best mirror Luffy's power? Like what rubber? Like what would be closest to the rubber proof? Mochi would not have been my first answer. It wouldn't have been
Yeah.
my third answer. It wouldn't have been my 10th answer. Like that's such a weird power to have be like such a crazy power, you know?
Yeah, and it
Very
totally
creative.
fits with the theme of the arc because
Yeah,
everyone is
exactly.
like
Yeah.
food themed and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, really good. Um, You were also talking about Flampe, like the little sister who is like, oh, I'm gonna help Katakuri out,
Yeah.
and like she ends up shooting like Luffy with like some poison dart or whatever. So he like falls over and he can't dodge Katakuri's attack, and Katakuri like gores him with his spear, and he basically like stabs him right in the belly, and it looks like really fucking bad and brutal. And and then like when Katakuri is like, well, how did this happen? Like Luffy has like he should have been able to dodge that. At this point, this is like pretty late into the fight, and like Luffy is like able to dodge a lot of his stuff because his observation hockey is advancing too. And like he finds out that it was like his little sister, and he like freaks out because she is like laughing at Luffy. She's like, wow, like this guy, there's no way that he can win. He keeps getting back up like an idiot. And she's like laughing at him. She thinks that that's like reprehensible that he would even keep trying when it's like obviously Katakuri is the better man, because everyone in the Big Mom Pirates loves Katakuri because of this like image that he's like built up for himself.
Hmm.
Um, but then when Katakuri like finds out, he like snaps at her, and he was so mad that he like reveals his like weird like gulper eel face that he's like tried so hard to cover up this entire time, which is like very clear that like he cares a lot about like this fight, and he like has grown to respect Luffy as an opponent. And um and then he decides like, all right, like I'm going to I'm going to stab myself, and like I'm going to make it an even playing field because like this wasn't fair. Like I don't want to win this way. And at first I was kind of like, okay, this is like a little convenient. It's like we're making it a little bit easier for Luffy to win. I don't really like that. But thinking about it more, I think it makes a lot of sense for like Katakuri to do this. And like specifically because like okay, like we after Katakuri like reveals his like disgusting mouth to Flampe, she just like immediately turns on him.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh my God, like you are not the person that I thought you were." And she was clearly enamored with like the image of Katakuri that like he had tried so hard to like create. Um, and he wasn't, that's not like the real Katakuri. Like he's just like and when she like comes like face to face with the real Katakuri, she's like disgusted, and she's like, "Oh, I now hate you, and you're the worst, and like I'm gonna show everyone, and like your reputation's gonna be ruined." So she is basically the scum of the earth for being like that.
Hmm.
Because Katakuri is a pure boy, and no one should ever be mean to him. But when and then like later, when we see the Katakuri flashback at the very end, where he's like we see him as like a kid with his like other twins. I think he's like twins with Daifuku and Oven. Um, and they're just like hanging out, and Katsugori is showing his face because at this point he's just like a dude who does what he wants, and but he gets beat up all the time because of his face, but it doesn't matter because Katsugori is really strong, so he can beat up the bullies right back. But then like one day the bullies decided to go after his little sister Brule, and Brule gets like that huge scar across her face, which like we that's kind of like we've seen that on Brule the entire arc. Like she's not exactly a looker. She has this huge scar across her face, and she's also kind of just ugly because she has a big nose, and she looks like a witch, and she still does when she's a kid, which is kind of funny. But when he sees that like they would choose to go after one of the people that he cares about, when they see his weakness, that is like kind of like what makes Katakuri into the man that he is today. Like he's still now he decides, all right, I'm not going to show any weakness. I'm going to like become the person that is so strong that no one will want to like go against me, go against any of my friends, go against any of my family, people I care about. And he basically like that is when he stops being like he stops showing his face. He stops like being the real Katakuri. He starts showing this like this projected image of himself of like strength, and he's unassailable, and he's invincible, and no one can beat him.
Yep.
Um, and I just like what I love is that like I think that the reason that like he grows to respect Luffy so much is not just like as like a fighter, and that like Luffy is strong, and like he's like a mirror match, and he's developing his own hockey and stuff. But I think it's more than that. I think it's also that like Luffy is like so determined, and Luffy like doesn't ever compromise. He's the type of person that is like, you know what, like even if what I want is like there's a bunch of powerful people in the way, and like they're gonna beat me down, I'm just gonna keep getting back up because that's what Luffy's doing the entire fight. Like Katakuri, by all means, is like stronger than him. He's getting the better hand, but like Luffy keeps getting back up, and Katakuri begins to respect that because Katakuri's whole life is about compromising who he is in the face of like other people and their strength. Whereas like Luffy is like not about that at all. And so I think that that's why Katakuri wants to like really face Luffy on even ground because he doesn't just respect him as a fighter, but he respects him like as a person. Like he respects his ideals.
Yeah.
And I just like I don't know. I think that there's like something so like human about Katsukuri, like that isn't really there for a lot of other One Piece characters, where it's like his whole character arc is like literally about like the pressures of like society and like social anxiety and shit like that, which is like surprising for like a One Piece character, and especially for just like one.
This is the Senior Pink and Frankie fight for Luffy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like you wouldn't expect it to get this real, and I think it's like, yeah, it's just so fucking good. And I don't know, it's like who can't relate to like that, to like making compromises because of like um how other people will react and like view you and stuff. And like Katsukuri is just like he's a real man for standing up to that, and he's so good,
Yeah.
and
This is
definitely
a
must.
fight that I really like just because, like you mentioned a lot, but like this, like the respect that Katakuri shows for Luffy is like something
Yeah,
you don't see a lot in the fights. Like going back to the Doflamingo fight, I never really felt like Doflamingo respected Luffy. He always was like, I am better than Luffy, and like Katakuri like comes to understand like why Luffy is Luffy and why he's there, and he respects him for that. And like that was really cool to see for sure.
yeah.
And makes a comment about like given another circumstance, like he could probably be his friend.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
yeah,
Like right now you are infiltrating my captain's and I guess mother's base, but given another circumstance, they could probably be friends.
Yeah,
hmm
exactly.
and Luffy respects Katakuri too because at the very end of the fight, when Katakuri falls down and Luffy is the first one to get back up, he sees that Katakuri's face is showing, and he knows what that means to him, and he takes off his hat and he covers it up so that no one will see,
Yep.
because he just respects Katakuri and what he wants. And I fucking love that man. Yeah, that panel. That just that really
Yeah, the
got to me.
end of the fight was really cool because like I feel like it's been a while since I read it, but I think Katakuri like stands up and then he just kind of like falls over, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that that's like, and then what I also love is like at the very end when like Katakuri is like, um, there, he's come to after he passes out, and I think it's Brule who's telling him like, yo, like the Straw Hats, they got away. And we actually see Katakuri smile there because I think that he's not a pushover. Like he's someone who will like stand up for his friends and his allies and stuff and his family. But at the same time, I think he wanted to believe that a man like Luffy could defeat a man like him, because Luffy's whole thing is about never compromising and always staying determined. And Katakuri, he lived a life where he deemed it necessary to make certain compromises about himself, but he doesn't necessarily love that about himself. Like Katakuri's not a perfect man. And I think that he likes the fact that Luffy was able to beat him in like that kind of like ideological way,
Hmm.
where like someone like Luffy could beat someone like Katakuri, who by all means should have beat him. And I think Katsukuri, I don't think he like let himself be defeated or anything, but I do think that that's like kind of why he was smiling because he, in a way, like wanted Luffy to be able to achieve what he wanted because he respects that Luffy is a man without compromise.
Yep.
So yeah, Katsukuri is my favorite One Piece character. He's the best one.
It's been revealed.
Um, yeah, it's now revealed, but it's
Better
not
than
Usopp.
Robin.
It's better than Robin. Yeah,
More than
Katsukuri
Usopp.
is better than
Wow.
Robin. Better than Usopp. Yeah, better
Sheesh.
than
Wow.
Brook.
High
Yeah,
praise.
I just think I just it's just like I don't know. It's like something. Yeah, he's just so like human and good, and I love him.
He's more relatable
And
than
yeah, I mean,
Luffy.
because it's like a lot of characters in stuff are like characters where they are people that I look up to and like I'm like, oh, this is someone that I want to be like. But Katsukuri is like he's someone who's like I simultaneously think he's like that. He's someone that I like and I want to be like, but at the same time, he's more relatable than like a lot of characters that are like their role. Like Luffy is not a very relatable character. Luffy's a character whereas like certain aspects of Luffy you want to emulate yourself, um, like his determination, his dedication to his goal and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But Katakuri has like that element of him where it's like he's someone who he recognizes that you have to make certain compromises and like he's looking at it as like how people view him and it's like you can't escape from that. There are certain things in life where you just gotta I don't know, you gotta compromise and like Katsukuri is good and I
Yeah.
love him. And yeah. That's why I have my Katsukuri shirt on right now.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of other stuff, other big moments to talk about. I feel like we covered most of them.
We get to see that the minks have Sulong forms.
Oh yeah, the Sulong form was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I that was another moment that I really didn't resonate with too much was the death of Pedro. Is that his name?
Pedro. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't really set him up too much that I cared too much when he died. I don't
Hmm.
know.
yeah,
But
fair enough.
The Sulong form was really cool, and getting this I did like Pedro's backstory, and getting to see him in the Sulong form earlier was really cool. But yeah, you get to see Carrot's Sulong form, which is super cool, and like it's definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing more of because like there's still a good area of mystery around it, and like how strong is it really? But um, that was out of very out of nowhere, but not out of place, I guess. Because like the Minx,
Yeah,
Right.
there was a line in Zoe where they were like said something about the Mink's true power.
yeah,
And also
exactly.
there
Yeah.
was like another time where like Carrot was like, "Oh, is it going to be a full moon tonight?" Like, "Oh, that's kind of weird." And so there was definitely like a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Um, so I agree, not out of place, but yeah, it's okay.
I want to see Law's Bear's Sulong form. Whatever his name, Beto, whatever his name is.
Beppo.
Yeah.
Beppo, yeah.
Peppa.
I want to see Beppo's Sulong form. Trying to think of what else. I just generally really liked them running away from Big Mom for most of it. I thought that was very well choreographed, I guess. Like a lot of different things thrown at them, and they have to overcome them. You get the return of the big homie that helps them out, the big tree guy. Them going across the ocean. It was just like a very fun or very well choreographed chase scene. Big Mom slowly like turning into it like almost like a skeleton, like very haggard but like still scary.
Uh-huh.
Um, just a fun little romp around while they're making the cake. Um, Trying to think of other stuff. Uh,
I really enjoyed the gangster Gastino.
oh, that was also
Oh
another
my God,
highlight.
yeah.
I I just loved like, hey, what's your name? Gangsta Gastino. Like, oh, you're Caesar's. Like, no, it's Gangsta Gastino. And like he's like, yeah, Caesar over here is like, you gotta refer to me as Gangsta Gastino.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was really
hilarious.
good. I like at this point I'm like, yes, like Caesar.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yep.
like he's a cool guy.
yeah,
But
Yep.
like I mean obviously like he makes chemical weapons and stuff, so he's not like a good guy, but Gangster Gastino was good. And I love how everyone just like unequivocally shits on him. Um like all the time. Like I think Nami especially because she like
Nami hates him.
holds a personal grudge
Yeah.
for like the kids and stuff. But yeah, I think I love it whenever people are shitting on Caesar because he's he's like at this point he's just like an easy target.
Hmm.
But he finally earned his freedom in this arc. He's been with the Straw Hats for a long time. Well, yeah, he's been with them for a long time because he's basically been like in every arc. I guess he like left in Dressrosa with the rest of them, but like he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
like he's basically like another like Kinemon because Kinemon like was in Dressrosa more. Uh, Caesar was in this more, and Zoe, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're kind of just like a guest of the crew. Whereas like obviously they're different roles in the story, but similar in that aspect that they're like that. But yeah, I thought it was funny when he earned his freedom, and it's like now I wonder what he's doing now. Who knows? but he's flying around because he can fly. So
I've definitely he's
yep.
definitely grown on me. I think I mentioned this last time on Zoe, but like he's definitely grown on me because like I wasn't a huge fan of him in Punk Hazard. Like he kind of was whatever, but
Hmm.
as a more
Yeah,
comic relief character, I feel like he's
yeah.
pretty
I
good.
like that he's not redeemed, but
Yeah,
he's like I still like
yeah,
like
exactly.
he's likable, but he's not redeemed because it would be kind of bullshit if he was redeemed because
Yeah.
like he's a bad guy. So yeah, that's good. That's good.
Um,
Uh,
there's a good SBS that I really liked. I kind of just want to read it because I bookmarked it because it was so funny. I was laughing my ass off at it. It's one of those like kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where somebody points out that Pudding was like 300 chapters before, but this one says, in the SBS of Volume 84, he wrote that Zoro is one of the Straw Hats that doesn't chew his ice. But in Chapter 701, Volume 71, isn't he chewing his ice there? And then they have the panel of him chewing the ice. And then Oda writes, right, yeah, it looks like that, right? Well, it only looks like he's eating his ice, just an impression. But the thing is, Zoro doesn't have a mustache, because it's like when they're undercover in
yeah,
the
yeah.
thing, and so Zoro's got like
So
the
it's not
fake
actually Zoro.
mustache. He's like, so I don't know, that might not be Zoro, you know? Yeah, that's probably not him. I mean, is that Zoro? I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought that was hilarious. It's just like such a stupid little SBS thing, but like people somehow somebody managed to remember like Zoro was a pirate that doesn't chew his ice. Or maybe I don't know. Maybe they
Yeah.
saw the him chewing the ice and they're
Thing to
like,
remember.
yeah, I remember the SBS where he was talking about chewing his ice, and they went to fact check that. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I've been loving the SBSs. Like, there's been like a couple that people have gone back and like tallied up like the stupidest metrics. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, they've been good. Especially this one. Some good characters.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Also, there's one where someone is like asking, talking about Katakuri. He's like, Oda, like Katakuri is like cool, but then like when we see him eating the donuts and stuff, um, it's clear that he's like, he's not the perfect person that he like uh says that he is. He's like, is it your policy not to draw perfect characters? And then Oda says, I don't know if it's my policy, but I just think that perfect characters are boring and people, I think he said, people like are in love with or enjoy seeing other people's flaws. And I
yeah,
think that's like definitely just true in general and definitely true about Katsukori.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a good one. Um,
Um,
oh,
I
also other
yeah.
stuff. The box went off,
Oh yeah,
the
that was a while
it was
in
set up
making.
a long time ago. Yeah, that was
I
cool.
I definitely thought that was gonna go off earlier. Like it was just gonna be like a little thing like to make Big Mom even more pissed at Luffy. But yeah, it
Uh-huh.
actually
But it
ended up.
actually was like it actually ended up being a huge deal because it like
Yeah,
ended up fucking up the whole wedding. Yeah,
yeah.
that was
And it
good.
ended up like kind of being like a symbolic thing. Like the whole platform collapses. It was kind of a symbolic thing of like her power being diminished or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And the real best One Piece character, not Katsukori. Big News Morgans was like, wow,
That's
Luffy
big
is a
news.
big deal. That's big news. Big News Morgans is great, and I love him. He's not obviously not as good as Katsukori, but he's still pretty fucking good. And it's funny that he's a bird. He's like literally Big Bird. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, cool for him.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he's gonna have anything to say about this in the news because I
there
think he
was
might.
also
You know?
a CP0 guy hanging out at the party.
Yeah, CP0's
Oh yeah,
been teased quite a bit. I am expecting them to be a
yeah,
big thing, especially with the gathering happening pretty soon. Um,
yeah. Stussy,
yeah,
Stussy is the CP01.
yeah. Going forward, I guess we could talk about. Um, Definitely more scared of Kaido now after seeing how strong Big Mom was.
Definitely.
Um,
Hmm.
and looking forward to going to meet up with the rest of the Straw Hats because I don't know. I think I not that I dislike this group of Straw Hats. I just like the other group of Straw Hats a bit more. You know, it's got Usopp, Robin, you got Zoro. You know, it's a more combat heavy group. You know, whereas this one you
But
have Chopper doing nothing.
Brooke,
Yeah, this one's got Brook and Sanji, so and Nami and Chopper.
yeah, Rip Chopper. But
Uh,
yeah, Brooke's the best one.
yeah, I'm curious to see how he splits them up next time because they're all going to be on Wano together. So I'm curious how he's going to split them up.
It always happens.
It always
It's
happens.
inevitable.
And I mean, I feel like the last time we got to see them fight together was like Punk Hazard, right? Not Punk Hazard.
Uh, yeah, because they basically split up like right at the beginning of Dressrosa, and I don't think they got back together before they left. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
thinking of
that
like a fight where
it,
they're
it
all
would have
fighting
been like
together though.
right when they got to, a fight with
It
everyone.
was
Yeah, probably not.
it was
I mean,
Zombie Island place. Spooky.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
guess fighting the pacifista.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
true. Yeah, that might have been Shabandi. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was the last time we saw
Well,
them
yeah.
fight.
Also on Fishman, there was like the big fight in the arena where they were all paired off against one
Does
dude,
that
but it was
count though?
still they
Because
were
there
all
wasn't
together.
really a fight. They were all kind of beating ass in a group, you know.
Yeah,
They weren't fighting
yeah,
one common enemy. It was more like an army fight,
that's
you
true.
know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I want to
But
see
that's
them
pretty
do that
rare. I
again.
mean, I think that up until this point, that's only happened with Oars. Like that,
I
I
think
don't think
so
that
too. I don't
that
I
doesn't
don't think
happen very
that's
often.
ever happened besides Oars, dude.
Oars and the Pacifista. What do you mean? You just mentioned two of them. Pacifista was another
Well,
one.
I guess, but that's sort of like, do you count that as one, or are they all different ones because they're kind of all their own thing?
I don't know. I
Oh,
I like
I
this.
guess. Oh, if you're talking about like before the crew gets split, I think that
Yeah,
counts. Yeah,
yeah.
that.
When they get wiped, it's not successful, but it happens. I don't know. I really like
Yeah,
that scene when they're all fighting together. So I'm always looking forward to the next one,
I do too.
if it ever happens again, which it might not. But
We'll see.
um,
We're, we might not know because where there's only like 100, a little over 100 chapters that we have read and you haven't, Will.
yeah,
So very
almost
soon
caught up.
we'll know the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think you got some Reverie to pick up on first.
Some Reverie.
Yep.
A little bit.
Is it the next arc? What is that?
Yep.
Okay.
It's not many chapters, but it's gonna be some information overload.
So it's like a Zoe.
It's like
Yes.
it's like
It's
Zoe on
more than
steroids,
Zoe.
kind of.
Oh my lord. Okay.
It's more than Zoe.
Well, in certain ways, like in terms of like, yeah. Well,
Because
you'll
it's
just see.
world.
You'll see.
Yeah, it's world building. It's the Reverie.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all the
It's the Reverie.
countries.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you think, Will? I mean, I guess does anyone else have anything to say about this arc? Because I think we
I think
really
we
covered
covered
it in
it.
a lot of detail.
Yeah, I think we covered
I
it.
think.
yep.
Um. So, yeah. I mean, overall thoughts. I think we were all very, very pleased with this arc. Um. And yeah. But so, Will, what do you think is going to happen next with the Straw Hats?
Well, I think it's gonna be the Reverie next because that's what you guys just mentioned. But I'm
Uh-huh.
curious to
Yeah.
see CP0 more in action because they've been teasing them for a good amount, and with the Reverie happening, I think that'll happen. With the Straw Hats themselves, I don't know. I feel like we might get another in medias res thing like that, kind of what happened with Zoe, where like you see like a glimpse into what's happening and what the other gang is up to in Wano, and they've already gotten they're already in some hijinks, and then they come in and the other half has to figure out what hijinks the other group is up to. Kind of feel like that's going to happen again
Okay.
in Wano, but we'll see. Wano is also really
We'll see.
long, so plenty of time.
Yeah. So yeah, I think next week, well, or not next week, but next time we talk, we should do because Wano's really big and Reverie's really small. So I think what we should do is do um, Reverie, and then also Wano is split into acts, and so the first act is 20 chapters, the second act is 40 chapters, and then we are on the next act after that, and it's like longer than like both of the other acts put together. So I
Jeez.
think what we should do for next time, well, not barely longer. Like I think it like just hit the 60. So I think yeah, but so what we should do is do Reverie and then Acts 1 and 2 of Wano, uh, and then uh, we'll do Act 3 after that, and then we'll be caught up. Then
Let's
we'll be talking
go.
about chapters as they come out.
Let's go.
So yeah, so I think that ends up being a little bit over 60 chapters
Okay.
because the Wano chunk that we're talking about is 60 chapters, and then Reverie is like 6. So I'll send. I mean, yeah, I'll send you in the Discord like what we're gonna do.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be
Works.
the first 2 acts of Wano.
Works
Yeah.
for me. Try to plan that for the next 2 weeks from now. I'm not. My schedule's pretty flexible, so.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks is good.
All right. Well, if anybody has anything
If you
else,
end up finishing early or whatever, just let us know, and then we'll maybe schedule it earlier.
I
But yeah,
probably will, but we'll see. Um, I don't think I have anything else. Any like smaller moments? I think we covered most of them.
Overall, big win for the Straw Hats. They got in. They got Sanji. They're walking away with 3
Yeah,
poneglyphs.
exactly.
No one died.
Yeah, three poneglyphs
Besides
Yep.
and
Pedro.
three poneglyphs, and one of them was like one of the red poneglyphs, right?
Yep.
Yep. Now
So now they have
now they
two
have
out of
two
four.
reds. Yeah.
They have half of them. Holy moly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big deal. Big
All
fucking
right.
deal.
Well, next time we'll be Reverie in the first two acts. So we'll see you then.
Cool.